Welcome to our webcast. Again, my name is Jayson Gehri, Director of Product Marketing at ScriptLogic, and our topic today is building a better help desk, and we're going to be having an expert discussion with Greg Shields about how you can have a ridiculously efficient help desk, and we're going to share with you some tips, tricks, and tools to help you get there. A couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions at all during the webcast, please use the questions box in your GoToWebinar console, and we'll get to those questions at the end of the presentation. We'll try to get to all of them if we can. We'll also be giving away an iPad 2 at the end of the presentation. I know the 3 is out, but we haven't been able to get our hands on one yet. They are, back ordered because everybody wants one, but at least you'll get a 2 and you can either keep it and play with it or sell it and put that money towards a 3. But you have to be here, so make sure you stay attending the presentation until we announce the winner. And then we will be recording this webcast, and we'll be sending out emails next week with links from the resources that we'll be sharing, and with a link to the recording of the webcast. So if you can't stay on, or if you end up wanting to share this presentation with anyone, you can do that. So let's get started. Again, my name is Jayson. I am a product marketing director here at ScriptLogic, part of Quest Software. I've been with the company over 2 years, and my main job is to talk to you folks and get you excited about our products. And we've also got Greg Shields here. Greg, say hi.
Hey, Greg Shields.
Good. Greg's on. I'm excited about this presentation.
So I was thinking that you're actually probably doing people a favor by not giving them the iPad 3. I was just reading just before we got on this call that some of the people that have Verizon with those iPads with the 4G, the LTE on it, have been burning through their entire month's allotment of data in 3 hours or less.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you're actually doing them a favor by not buying them the latest technology.
Oh, good. Well, I hope they feel the same way. I can tell you I did pre-order an iPad 3 and I've already got it, but I only got the Wi-Fi version. I figure if I really need internet, I have my iPhone. I don't need to pay another $30 a month. So maybe we're saving them some money too by not getting them the new one.
Always thinking ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So before we get into the presentation, I just want to tell you a little bit about ScriptLogic for those of you who may not be familiar with the company. We were founded in 2000, and we started with one little desktop logon script replacement tool, and we've kind of grown into providing, IT management solutions for more the SMB market. We have 4 key areas that we've produced software solutions for. That's desktop management, server management, Active Directory management, and of course today we're talking about help desk management. We have over 30,000 customers worldwide, and they range in size from some of the smallest startup companies to some of the largest Fortune 100 companies. And, usually I like to say, of course I say we're headquartered in Boca, and I'm in sunny South Florida compared to where everyone else is. However, today I'm at Quest headquarters in sunny Southern California. So no matter where I go, I've got some great weather. How about you, Greg?
Jayson does not actually go to places where it is cold.
No, I don't.
It's 58 and sunny here in lovely Denver, Colorado.
Oh, at least you have the mountains. We've got some hills here in SoCal, but it's in the 70s, and I don't see any snow to go skiing on.
It's been a bad year for snow anyway.
I've heard it's pretty mild elsewhere. For us, it's been, warm and sunny and beach weather. So we've been owned by Quest Software since 2007, for those of you who are not aware, and Quest Software is one of the largest Microsoft ISVs out there, and Quest produces software tools for IT management as well, so we're kind of a good fit there. They focus largely on the large enterprises and ScriptLogic on the small business, so that's kind of how we fit together. And you may see in the future where more of our presence becomes more Quest, so in case you wonder as that progresses. So now, Greg, I'll turn it over to you, and you can start talking about our great topic today.
Jayson, did I ever tell you that I actually managed a help desk back years and years ago?
Really? And how was that?
It was actually exciting, and I'll tell you what, for all of you that are on the call right now that are in charge of a help desk or on a help desk or a part of a help desk, major props to you guys and girls, because I'm telling you what, the people that sit at those help desks are in some ways the least appreciated people, but are in many ways the hardest working people in IT. It's just impressive the amount of work that these people do, and with little information. just not receiving really the information they need in order to be able to get things done. So major props to you guys, and hopefully in the next, 40 minutes or so, 45 minutes or so, we can give you some additional pointers that may help you get exactly that information that will help you be more efficient and potentially even ridiculously efficient as a help desk individual. Jayson, I wanted to talk a little bit about the incident lifecycle. So we've all heard the stories, right? So there's these classic kind of war stories, the classic responses of the reactive help desk, and I think we've all sat on a reactive help desk at some point in our lives, or at least been aware of one or seen one or have had to call into one. And, there's commonly the story about, and it's kind of spread across all the help desks, where the organization, the IT group, finds out about the problem when someone calls in. So, hey, by the way, the Exchange server's down. Oh, really? We'll get on that, won't we now? So I'm sure you've probably had some similar issues with the reactive help desk, essentially not even really finding out about incidents until after the incident is really a big problem, right?
Oh, yeah. It's funny you bring up Exchange because that's one of the stories I love, because obviously Exchange affects your whole business. If you can't send and receive emails, you're just kind of ground to a halt. And the story that I hear about is, something happens with the Exchange server overnight, and you get all these emails or these alerts, and they may go to your BlackBerry if you have one, or your iPhone, or whatever you're doing, but maybe your ringer was off, or you didn't see the emails come in, so you get in that morning and everyone's just jumping on your case because no one can get their email done, and now they've come in at 8:39 and they can't do anything. And then it takes you forever to figure out, is it the server? Is it the router that the server's connected to? Is it our internet connection? And by then you have 100 help desk requests coming in from everyone saying, I can't get my email, I can't get my email, I can't get my email. And you're just pulling your hair out because it's such a critical thing, and there's a problem, but now everyone's telling you there's a problem, but you really should have known there was a problem before they knew there was a problem. So it gets frustrating.
If you've been following me and the things that I've been writing over the years, the monitoring tools are the ones that, at least personally, I have the most sort of love for. And any good IT environment should have a good monitoring tool, because those are the tools as a consultant when you walk in that pay for themselves the fastest. I've had situations where you put the right monitoring tool in place, the ones that can alert you when problems go wrong, and where that solution, including my cost to come and install it and do all the the consulting work on it, actually pays for itself in the first 24 hours. So having an incident life cycle is absolutely important. In fact, Jayson, I will tell you that I actually stole that image off of your website.
Hey, works for me. I think it's a pretty graphic if you ask me.
Well, it's got a lot of colors there, and I think it does. If you start in the upper right-hand corner there, just where the arrow starts, it gives a little bit of an idea about, all right, well, so there's this reactive approach towards responding to incidents. And I think there are a lot of people out there today or a lot of help desks out there today that really kind of have a reactive approach to dealing with how an incident is handled. Or maybe there's just no workflow at all, right? So an incident comes in, and so you've got to resolve it, but there's really no guiding structure for what processes you should step through in order to get that incident resolved. Well, and that's the case because I think many of us are, we're IT people. We're kind of anti-process in many ways. We kind of want to be able to get things done, and sometimes process can get in the way. But the ridiculously efficient help desks in the world are those that at least have the framework of a process that they step into place to help them identify, okay, when something happens, what do you do? How do you figure out what's going wrong, the root cause, and how do you ultimately fix the problem? And that's why I like this image and kind of stole it off your website, is that it gives a really clear message here. So something happens, that's the occurrence. You detect it, right? You recognize that something has happened. That's the purple there in detection. You then go, okay, well, usually what we detect is some sort of symptom of a potentially a much larger problem. So how do I drill down to a root cause, which is diagnosis? And then what do I do to fix it? Now, the only thing is, in looking at this image, the one complex piece, or the one piece that wasn't immediately understandable, was this little hourglass on the lower right with the blue area. You've got to explain to me what the blue area is.
Come on, Greg. I can't even think of the word. It's, the sand that counts the time down, What's
an
that
hourglass.
called? Hourglass, thank you. Wow, that just flew my head. But basically what that is meant to represent is the amount of time that it can potentially take between an incident occurring and someone actually knowing in the help desk that it happened. And how do you find out? Is it you got an email from a user saying that there's a problem and that's an hour after the problem started? Or is it an alert that you're getting from some device that's monitoring your network? Or is it you come in the morning and all hell has broken loose and then you've got to start the process? So the whole goal of being proactive, I think, is taking that blue area of the circle and trying to get it almost down to nothing. So the amount of time that happens between an incident occurring and somebody knowing about it is next to nothing.
So it sounds to me like the difference between the efficient workflow and the ridiculously efficient workflow is the width of that blue area.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of our attendees just pointed out in the question box that time is money, right? So the more time you're spending, the more money you're losing.
Very, very astute point. Thank you for that one. That's a really good one. Hey, I want to talk a little bit about how to get ridiculously efficient with these help desk incidents. And all right, so we've got a group of people on the line today, and they are all just like us. They're trying to deal with all these problems as they come in. And if you're a help desk, you're constantly dealing with whatever the fire of the day or the minute or the hour is. And so dealing with all of that stuff as it happens can sometimes be challenging. I think I mentioned earlier that, one of the big kind of real astute points about help desks, right? The part that really differentiates the good ones from the really good ones is in how you actually go about dealing with that limited information that you have. And sometimes, you might not have a lot of cash to go buy big expensive tools to do that. Sometimes you've got to use your noggin as opposed to using, some sort of slick interface to actually come to a resolution for some things. And so I know this is kind of against the usual process for this, Jayson, but I want to spend just a minute talking about that SMB IT site that you guys have put together. If you haven't had an opportunity to go to this website, it's here. Look at this. I'm advertising your products for you, Jayson.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. But so there's this website, ScriptLogic.com/SMBIT, and the reason why I'm advertising it is because I am one of the five. Are we 5 authors now?
Yep, 5 authors.
I'm one of the 5 authors that ScriptLogic has thankfully allowed to contribute to this website, both articles, blog posts, and videos. And they have nothing to do with ScriptLogic. I don't want to advertise your product, even though I seem to be doing it right now. But what I do want to do is help people with that limited information, right? And how to use the tools that you have on hand to improve that whole process and to reduce that blue area down to nothing and to really get ridiculously efficient with your help desk incidents. So if you haven't taken a look at the website, take a look at that website. I do kind of want to take that whole process. Okay, we talked about the 4 steps of the efficient workflow, and I want to kind of break it down into 3 activities. Okay, so what are the 3 activities that you as a help desk can implement right now today, or just generally, to go from either reactive to efficient or from efficient to ridiculously efficient? And so the first of these activities is just simple prevention, right? So we would never have to get to the blue area if we're doing things on the front end to prevent that blue area from ever needing to occur. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So from the prevention thing, what I've done is, and I've taken a look at many of the different contributions to that SMBIT site. Okay, so different blog posts, different articles, different videos, and I've pulled out a few of them that I want to kind of key the people that are listening in. I want to key them into because they can go right now and click on a number of these links and seriously get access to some of these click here, then click here, or type this, then type this answers to how to implement things like preventing incidents from occurring. The very first one here is a video, actually, that Jeff Hicks put together that is all about using PowerShell to create a VHD and to back up user data. This particular piece talks about, okay, well, I've got user data, right? I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I need to be able to consolidate and get off of this system because maybe the system is dying, or maybe the system is experiencing a problem and I need to refresh it. Well, Jeff's done a really good job of using PowerShell with a couple of commands to create a VHD, so a virtual hard disk, back up the user data, and then allow you to begin working with getting that machine replaced or refreshed. It's a really, really cool video there that if you click that link, you'll get access to it. Jeff, I believe, also had another article that was 5 steps for gathering a network health report. And this one is actually really useful for help desk people. So you know what I'm talking about. You're on the help desk, somebody calls in, and they say, I have a problem. And you go, okay, well, where are you? And they go, I have no idea where I'm at. Or you say, what network are you on? I have no idea what network I'm on. It's amazing how people's abilities to relay information diminish significantly the moment that they call the help desk, right?
Yeah, where's the any key? That's a good question.
Exactly. So Jeff put together a 5-step process that you can implement and use that to remotely gather a network health report for the computer that's calling in. Really, really slick little process there. There's an HTTP link that'll take you directly to something that you can implement right now today to actually make that work. Jeff has actually a third video, or a third contribution that relates to prevention. A lot of these are Jeff Hicks. Jeff is our author in the help desk space. So you're going to see a lot of Jeff Hicks pieces in here today. The third one is, all right, well, what's the other really, really big problem that is easily resolvable but burns through all of your time whenever you're sitting on that help desk, and that is user passwords. So Jeff actually, again, has put together some really great remote access tools that he steps you through how to build and implement on how to get a handle on user passwords remotely. So 3 really useful pieces of content that will help you kind of prevent some of these issues before they occur.
Great, Greg. And I think those are very useful, especially for people who are really able to get in there and do the work themselves and have the time to build their own, tools and solutions. But what I want to share with you are some of the things that you can buy, right? You can either throw time or money at a problem. So in this case, if you want to throw money at a problem, and not a whole lot of money actually, ScriptLogic has software that can help you, and Quest has software that can help you prevent incidents as well. There's 3 things we like to talk about. First is password self-service. Users are always forgetting their passwords, or if your company has a password expiration policy, they've got to be able to reset the passwords. And in some organizations, there's just no way for users to do that themselves. So that can generate up to 1/4 of your tickets. And another way of presenting issues is giving users information to solve their own problems, and you can do that in the user knowledge base. And then the third thing we like to talk about is if you integrate a monitoring solution like what Greg talked about earlier with your help desk, that monitoring solution can be looking at your whole network and checking to see if everything's up and running. And if it's not, some solutions can actually fix issues themselves, and we've got a tool that does that, and I'll show you. And if it can't fix it itself, then it can put an alert into the help desk automatically. So again, reducing that time it takes between occurrence and somebody knowing that it happened. So let me jump really quickly over to a couple of our solutions so I can show you what they look like. And the first thing I want to show you is password self-service. This is a piece of software that comes bundled with our help desk product, Help Desk Authority. And you can also buy it individually, but it's a browser-based tool that if a user forgets their password or needs to reset their password, you can go in and you have a profile that you'll have to set up, but you can go in, like with my user account, I can just put in my logon. And then it gives me the option of, if I forgot my password, I can answer some questions, and I can do that based on some predefined answers that I've already given. And basically, once I answer these questions, it will reset the password for me and give me a new one. Or if I already have my password and I just need to reset it because we have an expiration policy, I can do that here as well. And then I can also update my profile. So if I want to change my security questions or change some of my answers, I can do that as well. Now, obviously, for some of these, you do need to know your password. But then for those who forget the password, if I answer these questions, which I'll do here, and you can't see my answers, so I'm not giving away any security information. It will help me.
Use your dog's name.
Yeah. It will help me recover that information without having to contact the help desk. And I obviously did not type the same answers in both because I'm trying to hurry here. So I may not actually get through this because I may not be smarter than the software. Yeah, in any case, though, what it will do then is reset the password, give me a new password that I can log in with. And that works really well. Now, another piece of software that we have is Help Desk Authority, and that's really what our help desk management software is. But a great thing about that is it's got a built-in user knowledge base. And obviously, you've got to be able to populate that with information. But if you have ability for your help desk admins to create knowledge base articles, you can allow your users to log in and do a search. And in my demo environment, I don't have a lot of KB articles, but this is an example where if there's an issue of new mail being created, but it's not available, we can put a KB article in here on what's causing the issue, how you resolve it, if there's any URLs from Microsoft or elsewhere that provide further detail or something that needs to be downloaded like a patch or a plugin or something, that you can do that. And again, if you make this available to your users, you can help them avoid potentially logging an incident because they can find the answer themselves. And then the third thing I mentioned is integration with network monitoring. And this is the Foglight network management system that is provided by Quest Software. And we've actually built integration with this piece of software and Help Desk Authority so that we can take advantage of all the power that Foglight has. And what it's doing, and you can see here, is it's monitoring devices on our network, everything from routers and switches to servers, even workstations. It can monitor VoIP and wireless networks as well. And it's got this basic green, yellow, red status indicator to let you know what's up and working, what could potentially have some issues, what may be down. And this is great because there's actually auto remediation built into Foglight NMS, and I'll show you really quickly what that looks like. I'll look at our Exchange server here. If I right-click on this, I can go to Monitors and Alerts, and I can set up some automated responses here. I won't actually go into this in detail, but I'll show you really quickly. So if I set up an alert, let's say I'm running out of disk space, I can actually have Foglight NMS do some things for me. I can have it stop a service. I can have it kill processes. I can actually have it do some scripting for me, some automated scripting where I could go and empty temp files or the recycle bin or things like that to clear up that disk space for me. So if I get Foglight NMS to take some of these actions automatically for me, then again, those incidents never reach the help desk. And that's really what we're talking about when we're trying to prevent issues from even reaching the help desk. And by doing that, your help desk admins can then focus on the more critical issues that they're having to deal with. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so you can spend money on Help Desk Authority and password self-service, but Foglight NMS is actually a free tool that you can download from quest.com. It's free for your first 100 devices that you want to monitor, which can actually cover a lot of what people need to monitor critically on their network. And nothing to pay for that, and it's free for life, and it's actually community supported, and there's a very thriving community of people that use Foglight NMS. So along with what Greg offered you from Smivit or from the SMBIT site, you can go download Foglight NMS for free as well. And Greg, I'll turn it back over to you.
I didn't know that it was free.
Yeah, yep, free. First 100 devices.
So is that even like network devices? So if I need to monitor my routers and switches to see if they're doing whatever they need to do, it includes that too?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, well, I guess I'll be downloading a copy whenever we get done with this.
Perfect.
You've made another customer. Computer management. So, all right, so the first one was prevention, right? And prevention really talks about doing things or laying the structure into place to prevent those incidents from happening. And one facet of prevention, I break this out as computer management because it's part of prevention, but it's also part of remediation. It's also part of just daily care and feeding of the environment, is just managing your computers. Now, Jayson, I got to tell you, you'd be surprised at how many IT organizations that I run across that really don't do any kind of computer management at all.
I'm actually not surprised at all. It can be pretty manual and pretty, painful sometimes for some organizations if they don't have the tools or the processes in place to manage their computers.
Yeah, and it's honestly for a lot of different reasons. In some cases, they're just not aware that the tools are there. I mean, even though group policy has been around for forever and ever, they're not aware that group policy is a solution they can use. In other cases, the help desk people don't have the necessary rights and privileges to even use the computer management tools like group policy.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. Especially since group policy preferences came out in the latest edition of Windows Server, people may not even realize that they can set a lot of those preferences and settings there that they didn't have available to them in the past.
Yeah, one of the big problems too is that the server team controls group policy, even though you don't really apply group policies to servers. You kind of almost do it to desktops more. So a lot of people just kind of have problems with computer management. So let me kind of highlight. I've got four here on computer management that are 4 other articles that our contributors to the SMBIT site actually have brought in that maybe have assistance in actually getting you from an unmanaged environment to a managed environment. The first of which is an article that Jeremy Moskowitz put together. This has been a couple of months ago on troubleshooting group policy. So one of the first issues that I see in management is people just don't have access or aren't aware of it. The second issue I see is that group policy, even though it's been around for so long, is still a kind of a challenging thing to use. People just don't understand it. They don't understand how the computer half works with the user half, or why this policy isn't applying. And so sometimes actually figuring out why group policy is or is not applying can be somewhat difficult. Jeremy's put together a fairly extensive article and then a video that corresponds with that article that'll help people understand or dig into a Windows computer to find out why group policy isn't behaving in the way it is. So that's one that you should definitely circle because it's one you should take a look at. Jeff Hicks had another one too. We've all dealt with devices before. Devices are at the same time absolutely necessary and also a complete pain in the neck. And so what Jeff's done in this article is step through all of the different little tools and little approaches that you can use to bury deep into the devices that are on a computer to figure out why they're not working. And as done, I think there's a boatload of images in here. There's like 12 or 15 different images. And then after he goes through all of the click here, then click here, he steps through it also using PowerShell, which gives you the ability to do so remotely. So when you're a help desk person, you don't want to go through the overhead of creating a connection and looking over the shoulder of someone. You can, with a couple of PowerShell commands, actually go through and troubleshoot those devices with the information that Jeff gives you. Avril Salter, the illustrious Avril Salter, has put together a really incredibly useful article on connecting to wireless. I don't know. When I first started working in IT, we were in the days, I think, even before token rings. So this whole concept of wireless is something that I still have problems figuring it out. Do you ever have issues with wireless in your environment?
So I came to our California office this morning and I actually could not get logged into our wireless network, which is retarded since we're all in the same domain. But that's the problem you run into. You go to a different office and even though it's the same company and you're supposed to seamlessly be able to log in, it doesn't always work that way.
The thing that I like most about Avril's article is the title. It's very cut and dry. Can't connect to wireless? Try these steps. And it's exactly what she does in that piece. There's a blog post and an article both associated with that. And then our old friend Jeff Hicks has one piece that also is here listed under computer management. And Jeff actually talks about how you can go about watching for events in the event log and then taking some sort of action immediately based off of what those events are. And it's kind of similar to what you were talking about there with the ScriptLogic tool, but this is inside the Windows native solution. Maybe not as fully featured, maybe not as multi-server capable, but if you don't want to spend the money, well, you can always spend the time and build it right there inside of Windows with the assistance of Jeff Hicks' article.
Great. So it's great to have these tools to, manage your network and to fix and troubleshoot things once you know there's a problem, but you have to know that there's a problem first. And obviously that's what we've been talking about. And what I want to kind of present is how, with the ScriptLogic software, that there's multiple ways for the help desk to receive those incidents or service requests or whatever it is that the users are trying to log. And we're trying to make it easy on the end users as well. So obviously anybody can pick up a phone, and that's the way a lot of tickets are logged with the help desk. Is a user has a problem and they dial 1234 or 5555 or whatever the help desk extension is, and start yelling or screaming at the help desk admin saying, "This isn't working, I need you to fix it now." But there's other ways to do it as well. And again, with the whole goal of enabling our users, you can have a self-service portal. You can have your emails get turned automatically into help desk tickets, and Help Desk Authority does that. There's integration with Active Directory, so all you have to do is, let's say, shoot an email to helpdesk@abccompany.com, and that email is captured by Help Desk Authority, converted into a ticket. It's tied back to that user because we know who they are in Active Directory, and all the details are logged, and they don't have to log in or call anyone. And then the other piece, again, is with Foglight NMS. An alert on Foglight NMS can be set up to deliver or create a ticket in Help Desk Authority automatically. So again, some of that automation workflow will make us even ridiculously efficient, if not efficient, when we're doing this. And I kind of want to show you what that looks like. So the first thing I want to show you is the self-service portal. And we were there already when we were looking at the knowledge base, but if we go into issues, we can see that this user has 3 issues that they've already logged, and they can go in here and check the status of those issues. They can see who they're assigned to, who's working on it, if any notes have been added, if they want to add anything to it, then we can look at that here, and then obviously we can also submit new issues as well. So that gives us the power as an end user to control how that ticket is submitted and to be able to track the progress of it. And then the other thing, again, being Foglight NMS, and I'll go back in there and show you again with this free tool how we've integrated it with Help Desk Authority. So if I go back into monitors and alerts, and I configure an alert for this Exchange server, you see down here that we can enable it, we can set severity, we can set priority, and we can map these to severity and priority in Help Desk Authority. We can set when the notifications are sent. So, if we meet all the conditions, like our, disk free space is less than 5%, we can also send an alert when it's been remediated and fixed. We can send emails to people, which is kind of the more manual way of doing it. You're relying on someone to get the email and respond to it. Or you can require that a service ticket is generated when this alert happens. And so what that will do is create that ticket automatically in Help Desk Authority with all of the information. And I'll show you what that looks like in Help Desk Authority when that ticket is created. So we've got one here, incident number 15. Open that up. And you can see that we've got some detail here. So because this is a Foglight ticket that was created, we know a lot of information. We know the urgency. We know what the impact is. We know what group we should route this to because this is impacting a server. In this case, it's the DC file server. And then we've got some details here. Let's see down here. We've got the fact that the processor is averaging over a certain percent. So maybe it's being pegged because there's too many processes or services or something's happening with that server. So we've got the information there. And then because of that, and I'll go into this more later, we've got some tools that connect directly to that asset. We can go see the information inside Foglight NMS. We can troubleshoot the information as well. So we've got a lot of tools that enable us because we allow that integration between the monitoring tool and the help desk that we wouldn't have if we had to do all that manually, or if we relied on someone to get an email from the monitoring solution and then go to the help desk and let them know that there's that problem. Or if we're getting people calling us all day instead of sending emails or using that self-service solution. So it's great to have all those tools to help you troubleshoot and resolve issues and manage your computers, but unless you have ways of finding out what those problems are, you can't really manage them. So I'll turn it back over to you, Greg, to talk about incident response.
Actually, can you keep talking for a minute? I'm actually downloading Foglight right now.
It shouldn't take that long. It's not that big of a download.
Well, we're trying to do a webinar at the same time as the download, so, it can take an extra minute or so. I should probably create a help desk ticket. Foglight not downloading fast enough.
I don't know if I can help you out with that one.
So, incident response. We talked about preventing things from happening. We talked about turning your environment into one of proactive management. All right, so when something finally does filter through the cracks, and you do end up having some sort of incident in your environment, well, what do you do? And how do you make your whole response to what you do much better? So the first one of these is honestly kind of one of the niftiest and yet I think least known tools in Windows 7 these days. Are you familiar with the Problem Steps Recorder?
Yeah, actually, I think I've used it a couple of times.
So I was not aware of this, but Jeff Hicks put together a really neat article about this tool that's built into Windows, and it's called the Problem Steps Recorder. Now, with it, if a user has a problem, they can actually kind of hit the record button. It's the start record button. And this Problem Steps Recorder will, with all the clicks that person does, kind of take a couple of snapshots associated with that experience and then deliver that information back to the help desk so that you, the help desk, can actually see via a series of screenshots all the different things that have gone wrong with that user. It actually literally does record the problem steps for you to actually consume. Really, really, really neat tool, and one that's built right into Windows 7. Jeff Hicks spends a minute talking about it in this article. Jeff again has another great article on those nasty hard drive problems. You know, there was a period of time, gosh, a couple of years ago, when hard drive problems and full hard drive problems they didn't happen, right? You never got hard drive issues. And we're kind of seeing more hard drive problems cropping up these days because a lot of people are making the shift away from spinning disks and onto SSD disks. And the SSD disk, I mean, if you want a half a terabyte SSD, you're going to pay a whole lot of money. So a lot of people have to put smaller size SSDs, and so consequently, we're seeing more hard drive full issues than we have in, well, many of our careers. Jeff Hicks put together 10 tips for how to clean up those hard drives in this article.
So Anthony, real quick, Greg, Anthony, one of our attendees just wrote in. He said it's also because we're downloading a lot of movies now, too.
Yes, that was my whole iPad 3. You know, it was at full 4G speeds, it's less than 3 hours to burn through your entire month's allotment over on Verizon.
Oh, wow.
I just read this like an hour ago. So be careful with the movies and be careful with the SSDs. Those things are bloody expensive. What's the next one I put in here? Mine. Hey, I put together a video, really fun video, because you know me, Jayson. I just adore group policy preferences.
Yes.
And what I love about group policy preferences is that, so group policy was awesome if you were trying to do something that was Microsoft-based. Right, so if you're doing Windows, you could use group policy and fairly easily configure a piece of Windows. Or if it was Office, or if it was really anything that had to do with Microsoft. But is there anybody listening that has any products in your environment that don't belong to Microsoft? Raise your hand.
That's probably everyone.
I think that's just about everyone here. When you do have those non-Microsoft products, actually controlling their behaviors is much more difficult because group policy by itself is not really well designed for dealing with those sorts of issues. But group policy preferences actually allow you to control application behavior by controlling their registry settings using preferences. So in this video, actually talk about how you can do that in a relatively short video for how to configure application behavior by controlling the registry settings for those applications. We have another Jeff Hicks one. He's just really popular today. If you have a machine that is experiencing some sort of problem and you need to migrate their user files and settings off, this is another one of Jeff Hicks. He put together this guide to migrating Windows user files and settings. And so he talks about all the different stuff that you have to be aware of and remember and use to get the user stuff off, and then ultimately back on that new computer whenever that comes, the need comes. The last one here is a video from Jeff Hicks, and I saved this to last because it's the most useful for the help desk. And what it does in this video is he spends some time showing you how to use Windows Remote Assistance, brand new, or built right into the Windows 7 operating system. Useful tool, allows you to essentially look over the shoulder of somebody else. Windows Remote Assistance, really, really useful tool, but somewhat challenging to actually get set up. It's kind of buried inside of Windows, so it can be a little challenging to actually find. Definitely take a look at that Jeff Hicks video because it's worth your time.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are all really great articles and resources because these are all things you can implement right now with the systems that you have. And before I move on, we're getting a lot of questions about how people are going to get these links, and I understand it's not really great to try to look at the screen and type in those bit.ly links. We're going to be sending an email out with all these links that, that Greg is sharing along with the recording to the webcast. So don't worry, don't try to copy them all down. You just pay attention or listen to what we're saying, and we'll get you all those links later. So you'll get them all. Someone just said, bless you. Nice. Okay, so those are some great tools you can use natively, but obviously, what I want to talk about is what ScriptLogic can offer too to help you with those processes, those responses, and that support. And there's several things that you can use in Help Desk Authority, and one of the things really that's important is the workflow that you use when you're managing a ticket once it's created. Once that incident is logged, how are you going to deal with it? And a couple of great things about Help Desk Authority. One is auto assignment. So you can set assignment rules in Help Desk Authority that based on how the ticket is opened, if you have a network group or a server group or a desktop group, or even if you're so small you have a network guy and a desktop guy and a server girl, then those people can get the tickets that are specifically for them. So if there's an issue with the Exchange server, that could go to the server person. If there's an issue with a router or a VoIP device or something like that, that goes to the network person. Now, let's say somebody's out of the office, and that can happen. You don't want those tickets just sitting there, especially if they're critical. So you want to be able to escalate them. Rather than the user having to email in or call and ask what's going on, you can set auto-escalation rules in Help Desk Authority as well, that if a ticket isn't answered in a certain amount of time, that keeps getting escalated up and up until somebody does respond to it. And ironically, Foglight NMS also has that ability. That if an incident or an alert is not reset or resolved within a certain period of time, it will also keep escalating that alert until that's resolved as well. So we want to make sure that those critical incidents are taken care of. Then you get into responding, and really how do you do that? And I think one of the best ways to quickly respond to an incident is to give a help desk admin all the tools that they need at their fingertips so that they're not having to hunt around for an RDP session tool or a remote management tool or a troubleshooting tool, that they've got all of that right there. And I'm actually going to show some of the tools we have available that are integrated with Help Desk Authority that are really going to make a Help Desk admin's life easier. So I'm going to go back into Help Desk Authority really quickly. And really what I want to point out about Help Desk Authority is we kind of like to call it Help Desk Your Way. It's completely customizable. Everything you see here can be moved around. You can add fields, you can remove fields, you can rearrange fields using a WYSIWYG editor to kind of suit your needs and your organization's needs. You can even customize the values that are populated in these drop-downs so that, let's say you don't have 4 priorities, you have 6. You can do 6. You can do 3. You can do basically what fits your organization. We also have the ability to link tickets. So remember earlier I mentioned how if your Exchange server goes down or your internet goes down, you can get 100 different tickets from people all saying, I can't get my email or I can't get on the internet, and then you have to go back and close 100 different tickets. Well, in Help Desk Authority, you can actually link these tickets together. Like in this case, we're having an issue with our Exchange server, and then we had 3 users who came in and said they can't get their email. Well, we know they're related to that Exchange issue. So I'll link them together, and when I resolve that Exchange issue, which by the way, the alert was originally logged by Foglight NMS, all 3 of those user tickets will get resolved and those users will get notified, which is going to save me some time. Now, if I want to go look at or try to figure out what's going on with that server, how am I going to do that? How am I going to troubleshoot to figure out, is it an issue with the server or the connection, or is a process stopped, etc.? Well, one of the ways that I can do that is through integration with this other free tool suite that we have called SL360, and you can download that actually off of the SMBIT website under the free tools tab. And there's a dozen different network monitoring and troubleshooting tools available in SL360, things like a ping scan or a trace route, or you can check and see if there's traffic jams in your network. You can do all of these things right here from SL360. And if you're in a ticket, you can actually go to the asset, you can do a drop down, and you can run any of these tools right from the help desk ticket, and it'll actually launch the tool with the target of that specific device already entered, and it's going to run the test automatically for you. So that's going to help you with your troubleshooting, and that way you're not hunting around your desktop for a ping tool or a traceroute tool or something like that. So that becomes pretty useful. And then in Help Desk Authority as well, you can view a snapshot of that device in Foglight NMS. And what this is going to do is it's going to show you what's going on with this device right now. Do we have any issues with availability, or what other alerts have been raised for this specific device? And then you can go down and look at things specifically like your disk volumes. Are there issues with free space on the hard drive? Are there networking issues? Do we have a lot of running processes? And then specifically for Exchange, if we had some of those Exchange-specific processes and services running, we could look at that as well. And that, again, helps me with my troubleshooting. So in this case, if I were to see that we had a lot of our disk space being used, like the alert that was raised, maybe I'm a level 1 tech and I may not have access to that Exchange server, but at least I figured out what the issue is, and I can go back into that ticket, make a note of what the issue is, and then escalate that back to the Exchange tech and have them take care of that for me. And then I've really reduced the amount of time that it takes to resolve this issue. And then again, because I've linked those tickets together, those users will get notified when we fix the issue so that they don't have to wonder when the problem gets resolved. Now, another thing go ahead, Greg.
I have to break in here because doing that is how level 1 techs become level 3 techs.
Right, they are able to do more than just log a ticket and move it on to the next person. They can actually do some root cause analysis and figure out what the problem is.
Yep.
So one of the last things you mentioned, Greg, that I think Jeff put in as an article was remote support in Windows 7. And it's a great tool that's built into Windows 7, but what do you do if your users aren't running Windows 7, or if you need a little bit more robust solution? Well, at ScriptLogic, we have a tool or a software solution called Remote Support Center, and part of that is Expert Assist. And there's an agent that can sit out on all of your desktops that will link you back, and you can actually run Expert Assist right from Help Desk Authority. And the great thing about this is you don't always necessarily want to take over or watch over the shoulder of your users. Sometimes there are things that you want to be able to do behind the screen while they're still working. And a great thing about Expert Assist, you can see it's web-based. We've got all these tasks that you can handle behind the screen without affecting that end user's productivity. You can do things like look at the registry. You can transfer files. You can potentially even install or uninstall software solutions. You can look at performance, things like CPU load, memory, etc., all behind the screen without bothering that end user. And then if that doesn't work, you can actually chat with that end user, and you can then take over control of that desktop as well. So it's more than just remote control, it's actually remote management, and we like to call it behind the screen remote management, because if you can keep your users being productive, let's do that. And if that doesn't work, then we can take over the desktop as well. And that's all done right here from a browser, and you can launch this session right from a Help Desk Authority ticket. So I think that really helps with that remote support, remote management piece as well. And that's pretty much what I wanted to show, Greg. So we'll turn it back over to you to talk about how to get your own ridiculously efficient help desk.
Well, first is to get Foglight installed, man. I've got it already installed.
Nice.
It's up and running and managing the network right now, which is just impressive.
Hey, that was quick.
Yeah, it was, actually. It took longer to download, I think. Maybe it's just my network connection. Hey, so obviously we're all here because at the end of the day, what we're looking for is to take our help desk from reactive to efficient and from efficient to ridiculously efficient. And I think I argued in the very first part of this webinar that the first step in this process is for us to maybe not implement real heavy-handed processes, but to implement a ridiculously efficient workflow that means when an incident actually occurs, well, you know what to do. You know where to go. You know what steps need to get put into place. And one of those workflows, again, stealing that icon right off of you guys' website, is when the incident occurs, detect it, diagnose it, and repair it, and do everything you can to get that little blue box, the little blue pie wedge there, reduced to as little amount of time as possible. One of the ways that you can do that is step 2, by implementing some ridiculously efficient solutions. Now, those solutions, they are there. There are ways that you can accomplish them there inside of the native Windows interface. Tools for prevention, tools for computer management, tools for incident response. And hopefully today you've got a whole bunch of different URLs to go check out where you can do that there inside of your environment right now today. And also, hopefully, Jayson's had an opportunity to show you a couple of tools that ScriptLogic can put together for you. I sure learned a lot in this webinar. How about you, Jayson?
No, I did. And it's really interesting because there are a lot of great things in Windows 7 that a lot of people don't know about, like Problem Steps Recorder or the remote support, or even that you can use group policy preferences to control how applications behave. And I think all of that is useful to any of the people on this call.
It's funny because, I do these webinars all the time, and you can always judge how interested people are by how many people stick around, and I don't think we've had a single person drop off this webinar.
No, I think overall we've kept it pretty consistent. So I think, Greg, we can pat ourselves on the back for being some very educational and motivating speakers, because I know these people are going to go back and look into this when they get back to their desks.
Nah, they're just here for the iPad.
Yeah, that's very possible too. So before we get to that and before I get to the Q&A, I just want to tell you where you can get some of the resources other than the emails that we will be sending you. Don't forget, we will send you the links and the recording. You can go to scriptlogic.com/HDA, and that's where all the information about Help Desk Authority is. And the Enterprise Edition is what includes all the bits and pieces that I've been talking about in this webcast. It includes Foglight NMS, it includes Remote Support Center, it includes Password Self-Service. And you can download and try all of them for free for 30 days. And then we also have the free tools like SL360 and Foglight NMS. If you want to get them independently, you can go to the SMBIT Simplified website, which I'll show you a slide on that next, and you can download those. And of course, if you want to check out Greg Shields and Concentrated Technology, you can go to concentratedtech.com. So
we don't have any free software on our site at all.
No, but you guys are really interesting, and I'm sure you've got some links to your Twitter and your Facebook and whatnot so people can connect with you if they want to. And you guys are experts in your fields. I don't want to pat you on the back too much, but you do know a lot.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by. We've got actually we've split the site now, so there's a whole segment of our site now that's kind of along the lines of SMBIT Simplified, but a whole series of just different pieces that we've written or produce for different customers. So thanks for the re-advertising back this direction.
Absolutely. And we keep talking about this through the presentation, but the SMBIT Simplified site is a really great resource, and yes, it is put on by ScriptLogic and Quest, but really it is product agnostic, educational information for administrators like you guys. And again, scriptlogic.com/SMBIT. These are real-world, articles that you'll be able to use and apply, like what we've talked about today. We have industry experts like Greg Shields, Don Jones, Jeff Hicks, Avril Salter, all providing the content that goes on the site. And if you want to connect with us, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on LinkedIn, you can do that. You can also sign up for a newsletter that gets delivered monthly and provides all the latest, links and articles that we've produced. So I would highly suggest going out and checking that.